problem you're having in markets like Florida, Arizona, the states where they have the huge discounts, is they're being basically driven to the point where pricing is now that the discount between retail and bank-owned or distressed property is very small. We've talked about this in the last couple episodes, and now you combine that with property being converted from investment property once they buy it, and it's going to be a rental versus put back on the market for sale. It's actually driving capital from the markets that are improving in strength into markets where they're weaker. You know, Ohio would be an example of a market that has not improved dramatically. So what this means is you've got some tempering on the market. In other words, prices rose because of demand. Lots of investor demand, competing with retail relative to supply. Now that it's leaving, they believe that there may be, and I agree with this in markets like Arizona and Florida, there may be a tempering in the improvement in prices. We may go back to a slower growth rate of appreciation or even a flattening.
Do you think we're going to run out of buyers faster than we run out of increases?
Well, I think if you're in a market that's heavily driven, remember that the numbers are in the 30% range for investor deals in the last couple of months and quarters, and which means that we don't see that kind of increases in terms of a third of our buyers being investors in Austin. So that means in a market like Phoenix, for example, or Arizona, they're way over 30% because that's a national average what that number is. So I think that there could be some tempering in it. Now in Austin, I don't think we're going to see any change at all. We're not an investor-driven market. We are a market that's driven by supply and demand. There is a oversupply of buyers relative to supply of homes. So you've got an imbalance between buyers and sellers. It's in favor of sellers in most areas. Now you can get into price ranges in geographical areas where that's not the case. But I don't expect in 2013 that we're going to see anything other than strong numbers. And we're going to look at Round Rock today when we get into our market updates. And you'll see an example of part of Round Rock that did not see as huge of an appreciation, but that's more due to new construction and the fact that that market is not as strong as the one that is more westerly. We're going to talk about Round Rock West and East. And you could make that same statement about being more centralized in Austin versus further out. All right, this last article talks about pending home sales numbers. This is obviously good news. If you look at the numbers, it's the pending sales numbers for the most recent month, October, are up 5.2% versus September, 13.2% September over September a year ago. This is the highest level since March 2007. So we're seeing good, strong numbers continue to come out, and this is showing demand. These numbers will be even stronger if we could solve the lending issue, especially for self-employed borrowers. I don't think we can put up with that demand in Austin. Although it would be interesting because I think it would free up more and more people who would purchase that are moving up. I think there's a lot of people who are locked into their current property. And what I mean by that is I'm self-employed. I got in under an old lending regime where I could, as a self-employed borrower, get a decent loan. I now would like to move up, but I go to my friendly mortgage professional and they say, I can't get you financing. So what do? You stay in your house. And I know I've talked to a few people like that. They're like, as soon as I can figure out the mortgage scenario, I will move up and buy something bigger. You know, so it's affecting the market on all levels. It's not just affecting the market for entry buyers. And I think you have some clients that happen to as well.
Yeah, it's happening all over. We've got that creates another opportunity too. In fact, and if you can't sell your property because you can't get a loan to replace it or move up, you may have properties that hold on longer, and at least if you're taking someone off the market too, you're also keeping that scale on price increases maybe a little lower as well.
Yeah, no, that's definitely true, and it is interesting to see how I believe that tempers more of the $350,000 to $1 million range. In other words, it's relatively strong to $300,000 or $400,000, and then each $100,000 you go up in the market, it gets progressively worse and worse. And I think that this is where you start to see more and more entrepreneurs who are affected by the financing model that exists today.
Right.